You may have noticed in some of my Ubuntu videos lately that I've become rather negative towards the system, so let me explain why. Now first off, I have to say that I've been using Ubuntu for over half the time that I've been using Linux, and I absolutely love the Unity desktop. Now this is not Unity here, this is Kubuntu with a Unity-like desktop. It looks and behaves like Unity, but it is not. Now I believe Canonical's implementation of Unity was poor. And I think they have learnt their lesson now in withholding Unity 8 from us. So they're still on Unity 7, they have been now for some years. In a way that is a good thing. They should not release a half-baked desktop on a long-term support release. They've taken the time to iron out all the bugs in Unity 7. But the problem is some of the lack of features. Now just about every desktop I can think of across all of Linux and within Windows as well actually has the ability to customise things, especially the position of the launcher. Now, only recently have we just gained the ability to move the Unity launcher to the bottom of the screen. But why is that such a big deal? Now with the Western language we read from left to right. So when we look at a page, our eyes will naturally be drawn to the left-hand side of the page, reading across to the right. But not every language is like that. Then Arab languages read from right to left. Chinese read from top to bottom. Now not to mention that most other desktops do come with the launcher at the bottom of the screen, so people would like the ability to move it. Now it just seems so short-sighted to deny people the ability for such a simple customization. This feature should have been in Unity from the beginning, back in 2011, not only just slightly appearing now in 2016. Another problem I have with Ubuntu is the lack of artistic cohesion. But what do I mean by that? Well, I'm referring more to the theming. In some programs you have light themes, and in some programs you have a dark theme. This is particularly noticeable on the menus. But also you have the narrow scroll bars in some programs, and you have wide scroll bars in others. I mean, if I take this KDE Plasma desktop I have, here I have 4 different applications. There is one native Plasma application, and 3 others miscellaneous applications. So I have dark colour menus, dark menus, dark menus, yes, dark menus all around. I have narrow scroll bars, and narrow scroll bars. Now if I'd gone for a lighter theme, then it would be a lighter theme throughout. It is artistic cohesion and very well presented. Now in some ways I could understand why it is like that, because GNOME doesn't have artistic cohesion itself. It has dark menus some places and the default theming in other places. But hang on a minute, you can rectify the situation with third-party themes. So there's really no excuse for it. Canonical should have sorted this out and got consistent theming throughout the entire system. Now I believe it was consistent back in about 2010 in Honoric Ocelot, because one of the tricks I tried was to look for an Honoric dark theme, and that kept me going for a little while, but in the end the operating system changed too much and that no longer became a feasible option. Another problem that I have is the choice of file manager. Nautilus is an absolute abomination these days. The GNOME team have just ripped the guts out of it and trashed it beyond belief. That is what you call progress, isn't it? No, it isn't. See, GTK 3 version of Nautilus has far less features of the GTK version 2 of Nautilus. What do I mean exactly? Well, let's take here in Dolphin, we have the ability to do dual panels, terminal at the bottom of the screen, and custom views between folders. So say here on wallpaper folder, I have a detailed view, but if I go into abstract folder, I have a thumbnail view. I can't believe how many file managers in Linux actually lack that ability. It is just a simple ability there, but it is really useful. You don't want thumbnails across your entire system perhaps, you would like thumbnails on pictures and videos, but for everything else I prefer the detailed view. Well yes, you can switch between the views in Nautilus, but it doesn't save the settings, and it just switches once, and then as soon as you go to a different folder, yes, you're still on that same setting. You still have to switch back between different settings of detailed and thumbnails. Now up until Ubuntu 13.04, you could still regress back to the older version of Nautilus, which was still pretty good. And that is why I do believe 1304 was the peak of Ubuntu. And it also had the ability to move the close, minimise and maximise buttons to the right hand side. I don't know why that feature was removed. It just seems so ridiculous. And I can see why. Mark Shuttleworth dictated, it must be this way, so it must be this way. But why? Many other desktops in Linux have that ability. And perhaps the final point I would like to go over with why I don't like Ubuntu is the lack of help screen at the beginning of the operating system when it boots up. Why is that such a big deal? Well, think how many other operating systems have that feature. Android, Windows, some programs like Kodi, or XBMC as it used to be called, Ubuntu MATE, Solid K, Linux Mint. Yes, quite a few operating systems have that feature. And for the operating system that's meant to be the flagship of encouraging new users into Linux, it's pretty poor that they don't have anything nice and welcoming like the welcome screen that is in Ubuntu MATE. I think that is head and shoulders above anything else nowadays. I really do like that feature, and I wish it was added to more Linux distros. Although discount things like Arch and Gentoo, they're aimed more for advanced users, and advanced users certainly wouldn't be interested there. It's like go and RTFM the pages on the website to get the idea of what you're doing. Now I suppose none of that is really major things that are lacking in Ubuntu, but the fact they're still not here after all this time is just really annoying. I could have forgiven them for the first release or so of Unity, but what would have really made it better with when they were trying to implement Unity, let's think back in 2011, was they should have kept the fallback option for the old GNOME Classic desktop. Kind of like they're doing now with not pushing Unity 8 on us. I think they've learned a valuable lesson. Unfortunately, it's a valuable lesson that's come too late. So that is why I dislike Ubuntu. So thanks for watching. See you all later.